All right, up until this point, we've been getting comfortable inside Photoshop. We've been getting used to the Photoshop environment. And you've also seen some different productivity techniques, and I've already thrown a pile of shortcuts and a pile of tricks on you. Now, I want to switch things up a little bit for the next little while, and I want to focus on an area of Photoshop that I would say is arguably the most technical aspect of Photoshop, the most cranial aspect of Photoshop. So don't get me wrong, Photoshop's a lot of fun, and we can do some really, really cool things, and we can apply effects, and we can put 3 heads on your pet cat, and all kinds of cool stuff, but when it comes to resizing images inside Photoshop, it does start to get a little bit technical. And what's amazing to me is very few people actually understand how all of this works. Even people that teach Photoshop don't fully understand how this actually works. So you may want to, during the next few videos, perhaps sit back and grab a pad and a pen and take some notes as we go along, because I really want to make sure that you understand this really, really well, and then perhaps rewatch these videos and work along with me with your own images. It's entirely up to you, of course, but you'll definitely want to take some notes during this. So here's what I'm going to do. I obviously have nothing open inside Photoshop, and by the way, I used my trick of hitting Shift-Tab to get rid of the panels on the right-hand side, just so I have a little bit more screen real estate here to work inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my gray background. That, of course, brings me into the open dialog box. And head into your project files, and there's 2 files that I'd like you to open up. A file called robot.jpg and also robotlowres.jpg. Go ahead and grab both of those guys. I just selected one and then held down the Command key here on the Mac, or Control on the Windows side, and selected the other guy, and we can open up 2 files or multiple files at once. I'm going to click on Open here. So there's Robot, and then there's Robot Low Res in the previous document tab there up at the top. But really what I want to do here with you is I want to get sort of a side-by-side comparison of these 2 cartoon drawings. So what I'm going to do is up on my application bar, underneath the Arrange Documents drop-down menu, what I'm going to do is choose this fella right here, the 2-up option. All right, perfect. Now I get this side-by-side comparison. We have the exact same image, the exact same cartoon robot, although you can obviously see here that one appears larger on screen than another. What's up with that? If I look over inside robot.jpg, this is the sort of the standard quality or the high quality version of the image, and I look all the way down in his document window's bottom left corner, you can see I'm zoomed in at 33%. If I head over to the low res, the robotlowres.jpg file, and look down in his bottom corner, I can see that I'm zoomed in to 100%. So I'm actually further away inside the low res image than I am inside the high res image. What's up with that? It's the exact same image. Why did Photoshop change the zoom level on each of these images? Well, here's the deal. Photoshop's only way of communicating to us that we have high quality or low quality images is to zoom. So this is really sort of a visual indicator for Photoshop to tell us what we have here, right? Sort of as an initial indication anyway. So the first thing that you might want to jot down is higher quality images are zoomed in on, lower quality images are zoomed out on. So obviously here the low res is 100%, and as I said just a moment ago, the higher quality robot on my right hand side is at 33%. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper into this. I want to know exactly what I have in terms of quality related to my 2 images. And I'm going to start with my low-res guy. So I'm just going to click over inside the left-hand window pane here. And do you remember this trick from earlier? This little info area that we have down at the bottom of the document window. What I'm going to do is I'm simply going to click and hold there. And we get this little info fly-up. I'm sure you remember this. All right, so here's the info on this fellow. He's 360 pixels in width, or 5 inches by 360 pixels in height, or 5 inches. He has one color channel. He's a grayscale image, so there's no color inside this image. Think of him almost as like a black and white image. He's a Leave It to Beaver image. Think of him like that. And his resolution is just 72 pixels per inch, not dots per inch. If you know about DPI, he's being measured in pixels per inch. I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Okay, so hopefully all good. Now, let's go and compare that to our high quality cartoon robot. So I'll click over on the right-hand side of my screen here. Same story. I'm just going to click and hold on this little document info area down here. The width of this fella is 1500 pixels or 5 inches in width by 1500 pixels or 5 inches in height. Now, hold on a second. He's 1500 pixels in width and height, or 5 inches. If I go back to my low res, this guy's 360 pixels, or 5 inches. So they're both 5 inches in width and height. What the heck is up with that? This is why it's such a technical, kind of confusing topic. I'll explain exactly what's going on here. So in other words, they're both the same physical dimensions, what I would call the print dimensions. They're both 5 inches square. One has more pixels per square inch than the other. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to head back over to the right-hand side, flip into this guy here. Again, he's a one-channel image. He just has one grayscale channel. And as I just said, he has more pixels per inch inside him. This guy has 300 pixels per inch versus the 72 that we have over on the left-hand side. Okay, so I hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense. What I'm trying to do here for you, too, by the way, is instead of completely inundating you with massive amounts of information, I'm trying to give it to you kind of in bite-sized pieces so you can kind of start to piece it all together here. Okay. Now, there's one more thing that I want to show you here in terms of zooming in on our images. I'm going to flip over to my high-res guy here on the right-hand side, and I want to see how far I can zoom in on this guy before he starts to fall apart, before he starts to pixelate. So I'm on my Move tool, by the way, inside the toolbox. You can go ahead and hit your V key if you want. Make sure you're clicked inside your high-res robot if you are following me along here. And what I'm going to do is simply hit Command plus on my keyboard and zoom in. And what I'm doing, by the way, is I'm keeping my eye on this area here down in the bottom left corner of my high quality robot. So I'm in at 100% here. So in other words, there's 100% on the right hand side compared with 100% over on the left hand side. So you can see right away how much higher quality the guy on the right hand side is. Let's keep zooming in here. Okay, at about 200%, he starts to fall apart. I can start to see some pixelation in there. If I zoom in any closer, now I can really see some pixels. So really, it isn't until about 200% where this guy does start to, as I say, kind of fall apart a little bit. Okay. Let's do the same thing on the fella here on the left-hand side, our low quality or our low-res cartoon robot. Okay, so right now he's at 100%. I'm going to zoom in, Command plus or Control plus. Right away, 200% falls apart. That's as close as I can get to this guy without having him fall apart. And really, it's all about the number of pixels per inch that we have inside, whether it's a cartoon robot or a photograph of a landscape or a portrait, whatever it is that you have. So what I would love to do next with you is go further down the rabbit hole and start talking about a dialog box inside Photoshop that's going to allow us to resize images. And we'll start talking about things like resampling and interpolation and DPI and PPI and all kinds of fun, wonderful stuff.